I'm sure most of you know that we have a new pope, but did you know we had some scandalous popes in the Middle Ages? I didn't. So let's see what they did in Scandalous Popes of the Middle Ages by Simonella. Let's get on into it.
Skillshare.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Hey kids, time to
Hello.
alienate 23.9% of the United States from my
Mm-hmm.
potential audience, because today we're talking popes. Now don't get
I'm
me
not a
wrong, the
part of
modern
that,
papacy is a
so.
great thing. Just a genuinely virtuous man being elected to govern and set an example for Christians everywhere. That's
Mm-hmm.
awesome. But back in the day, not so. See, in the Middle Ages, the church was one of the greatest powers in the Western world, having
Mm-hmm.
massive influence over monarchs and laymen alike. And as
Yep,
we know, with great power comes great tomfoolery. Here's
of
some of the less
course.
wholesome popes that history has to offer. Pope Stephen VI assumed the pontificate in May of 896, during a time
Okay.
of great instability for the papacy, where rulers
Hmm.
and families of all different shapes and sizes were vying for influence over the Catholic Church. As such, successive popes from this period often had different ideas about how things should be run. Stephen, for
As
example,
usual.
didn't much care for Pope Formosus, the guy before last.
Mm-hmm.
Why? It's complicated. Even if I could wrap my head around all this, it'd probably be boring as hell. So just take it on good faith that Steve had a lot of beef with Formosus. So much
Okay.
beef, or as we
Understood.
call it, papal bull, that Stephen couldn't even be happy that the dude was already dead. So he had the
Mm.
8-month-old corpse of Formosus dug up, dressed up in pope clothes, sat down on a throne, and literally put on trial, with a deacon appointed to give all his responses for
Now
him.
that's
So you
true
thought you
hatred.
could get away from the law with that little dying stunt of yours. Well, tell me, Mr. Thrombosis, did you violate canon law, commit perjury, and pretend to be a bishop when you weren't? Yes,
Mm.
pasta fazool, I am a fool.
I
I've
am a
heard all I need
fool.
to hear. This court finds you guilty, and everything you did as Pope, we legally declare to be fake and dumb and stupid and dumb. Now throw him in the
Of
river.
course.
What? The river? Can he do that? See the hat? That means I'm Pope. P-O-O-P Pope. You better three-point that bitch into
P-O-P.
the briny deep right quick, or I'm gonna raise hell.
Mm-hmm.
Metaphorically. So they throw him in the
Mm.
river. This whole thing caused an uproar among Formosus supporters, and after Formosus's corpse was allegedly seen
Is this your
performing
card?
miracles at the riverbank, Stephen ended up being overthrown, imprisoned, and executed by strangulation. The
Oh.
body, now slimy and disgusting, was fished out of the Tiber and reinterred in St. Peter's Basilica, where it rests to this day. Next, we'll
Mm.
talk about John the 12th. This guy already looks like one of my characters. Why don't we just, yeah, there we go. This guy ascended to the throne when he was just 18 years old, which
Mm.
is insane. If I was elected world's
How
biggest hat
old
wearer
is
at
our
that age,
Pope
you better believe things would get
now?
real unpapal real quick. I'm talking gambling, hookers,
Let's
setting
go.
fires, and toasting to the devil.
I
And
do
wouldn't you know it,
too
these
much
are all things John
gambling.
the 12th did. It said that he took the
Ooh.
sacred palace and literally made it into a whorehouse. Matter of fact, while researching the guy, I stumbled across this list of sexually active popes. This is a
Ooh.
real Wikipedia article. Take a hike, toilet paper orientation. Daddy's got a new favorite.
The
John
first
is
one is
featured
superior.
prominently on this list, of course. He had a thing for
Mm.
widows for some reason. Personally, I'm not big on weepy old hags. I'm more of a carefree young hag type of guy, but to
Mm.
each their own. He also banged his niece a bunch, which not the most virtuous act, but you know,
Yeah.
Middle
No,
Ages
thank
and
you.
bloodline, fucking whatever. His playboy lifestyle eventually caught up to him though, leading to the Synod of Rome, where everyone got together to talk about what a piece of shit he is so they could kick him off the throne. Besides all the deviancy, there was a lot of things they had problems with. For one, someone once offered John some money to ordain a 10-year-old as a bishop, and he was just like, alright, I would have done it for free, honestly. Look how big those robes are on him, that's hilarious. He also had a deacon
Real.
ordained in a horse stable, just like, oh, for fuck's sake, alright, let's get this over with. Shouldn't we be doing this in like a church? Listen, bucko, if it's good enough for Jesus to be born in, it's good enough for you to have your little cardinal
Mm-hmm.
party. No, sir, not cardinal, he's just a deacon. Not if you keep running your mouth, you aren't. He also liked going on hunting trips now and then, generally considered to be something popes don't do. Although my
Really?
suspicion is that they were just tired of cleaning his big stupid camo hat every time. Probably his worst act, though, was putting on a helmet, followed closely in second by the time one of his subdeacons got on his nerves, so he literally cut off his dick and murdered him. So between all this and some
Oh,
conflicts
fun.
with Otto I of the Holy Roman Empire, John was uncanonically ousted in 963. Except as soon as Otto left Rome, nobody was there to pressure him off physically anymore. So John was like,
Mm.
lol, just kidding, rounded up all his groupies, kicked the new pope off the throne, and continued his role like nothing happened by early 964. But just a few months later, fate caught up with John, and he died the way he lived. committing adultery. Now let's be real,
Ooh.
we all have our little guilty pleasures in life. Some
Mhm.
people like a nice bag of Cheetos,
Yeah.
others like scented candles,
No.
or poorly drawn educational videos.
Mhm.
Alexander VI liked watching horses fuck.
Oh,
According to Vatican
like
chronicler Johann
Mr.
Burckhardt, he
Hands
would
or whatever
specifically
the fuck's
arrange
his
for his
name.
stallions to be introduced to mares in heat outside his palace, and he'd stand up on his balcony to watch them violently mate, which just tickled him pink for some fucking reason, and he'd laugh
Why?
uproariously during the entire spectacle. He also once threw a party in the palace called the Banquet of Chestnuts, also referred to as the Joust of Whores. Wait a minute. Horse jousting. Horses banging. Was dyslexia a thing back then? Nah, but during the banquet, Alexander had 50 of Rome's finest raggedy harlots line up and strip down for him and his guests, which, by the way, included 2 of his children, which, by the way, he had many children, but at this point hardly a concern. Guests began throwing chestnuts at the ladies, who got down on their hands and knees and scrambled frantically, like the cook at Denny's when they held him at gunpoint, trying to collect as many as they could. After this went on for a while, Alexander was like, alright kiddos, game time. Whoever can bang the most broads before the night's over wins Rome's finest silks, and the only condition is that anybody who makes a joke about nutting on someone's chest gets disqualified. It's too easy. This is all according to that one Johann guy, mind you. Some secondary sources differ pretty significantly on the more lurid details of all this, so do take it with a grain of salt, but at the same time, this guy was the official record taker for the ceremonies he was involved with, so it seems equally likely to me that the other guys just wanted to save a bit of face, but who knows. In the end, primary sources are usually the most reputable source of information.
Right.
After all, what better way to learn about stuff than from people who have direct experience in the subject? That's why you need to try Skillshare.
Yep.
Skillshare is an online learning community with over 25,000 classes into some kind of grand goal you want to achieve, like, say, starting your own papacy and taking over the world. Skillshare's got
I
all the
wanna do
resources
that.
you'd ever need to bring that goal to fruition. You
course,
got
didn't
10
know.
ways to boost your natural charisma, very important with any new religion. How do the wealthy create tax-exempt wealth? That's a given. Basics of balloon twisting,
Gotta love
just because
that.
they say children are the most important
Ooh,
ones to
balloons.
indoctrinate, you know, the whole Joe Camel theory, etc. Join the more than 7 million people already learning on Skillshare today with a special offer just for my viewers. The first 500 people who visit the link in the description will get 2 months of unlimited access to the 25,000 plus classes on Skillshare for absolutely free. So
I'm not
please,
sure if
start
those
filling
are
up that void in
active,
your skull
doubt it,
you call
but,
a brain
know.
today. Anyway, that's all for today. Till next time, I'm Salmonella, and thank you for watching.
Thank you. I'm Mistic, and thank you for watching. Until next time, bye bye.